Let's do this. Yeah, it's just you and me talking, talking about your story, your journey. So no pressure. So hello everyone. Welcome to STEAM in AI Inner Circle Live Lab, where we bring you insider conversations with STEAM in AI graduates, AI professionals, college admission officers, as well as independent education counselors to help you navigate this AI college and career jungle. Most students say they are interested in AI. Nowadays, everybody is interested in AI, or at least they say they are. And they may have used ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, their favorite ChatGPT equivalent LLM, but very few students actually build something real. Today, you're going to meet one such student who didn't just learn AI, but she kept on building even after the program ended. Raina is a high school freshman. But last summer, she had just finished middle school with no advanced AI background. What happened next is what we are going to unpack today, step by step. Welcome, Rena.
Hi.
Hello and welcome. So let's start simple. Rena, take us back to last summer. What grade were you in when you joined the STEAM in AI summer program in 2025 last year?
So I was going into ninth grade.
Yeah, a rising freshman, just finished middle school. And before that, what was your experience with AI or with coding?
So I had basically little none. It's kind of funny though, because my mom, she had put me in coding for about a year, but the teachers are very bad. They would just make me, copy off the screen and I wouldn't actually understand. So I kind of went in with zero experience and came out with also zero experience. So really, I went the whole I project with no experience really.
So, no coding experience. Yeah. And if I asked you back then, would you be able to build an AI project? What would you have said?
I would have been like, that's insane because I was fresh out of middle school. I had zero coding ability, knew little to nothing about AI. I mean, everything just seemed not feasible at the time, so I would not have believed myself.
Okay. Yeah. So the story continues. Every strong project starts with something personal. Where did this idea of SkinSense AI come from?
So when I was younger, like had a lot of acne, especially from such a young age in elementary school. And I would see a dermatologist, but the thing is, it would be extremely inconvenient because with a dermatologist, it was like appointments for from every like 6 months, and in between, my skin would change so much, and I never really had a way of getting more insight on my skin in that period of time I was waiting, and that really just like drove me to create my app because it fixes that issue.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that the appointments were far in between and the dermatologist appointments were far in between, and you had no way of tracking how your skin did, even with the things your doctor suggested you do. And so you thought that there should be a better way to do this. Like it's a pain point, and if it's a pain point for you, maybe it's a pain point for many others, correct?
Exactly, yes.
And so at that time, was this just an idea, or again, did you think you could actually build something with that?
I mean, it was really just an idea because I didn't know that any of this was even possible considering my little to none background knowledge. So it was really just an idea, floating in my head. Like, if this was possible, I would love to create it. So it was definitely just an idea at the time.
Yeah. And so then you joined Steam in AI. What happens next? Did you start coding right away? What's the process? Walk the audience through how Steam in AI program works.
Yeah, so they definitely don't expect you to not have any, not like knowledge before. They did not tell me to code off the start. So you'll be assigned with a mentor, and you'll have like a few meetings, maybe a week or so, like each week over the course of like a few months, and you just build a product with them, and since they're a mentor, they're going to teach you different ways you can build it. So mine's, it didn't need actually much coding. It was more so like prompting a chatbot, which I learned how to do. So you don't need like any knowledge going into it. They really teach you everything, and the whole journey, they're there for you, and you can ask them anything. They're extremely helpful with that.
Thank you. And then how did you go from idea to something more structured? Was there design thinking involved, human-centered AI, ethics decisions? Like, was the curriculum teaching you any of that? And how did you make those decisions?
Yeah, so there was a lot of design thinking going into this. I feel like you can't have a product without design thinking beforehand. So, Steve and AI also offered these sessions with our peers, so like people my age, and we would all do design thinking together. And it's like a really long process. It would take me a while to explain, but it basically made you more aware of what your product was almost targeting. So like different problems, the type of audience, just little things like that. And then you take that knowledge and think, how can I put this into my product to make it more more expansive to different communities and different problems. So the design thinking really more so like helped with little details going into the project that you wouldn't have really thought of before.
I see. And what about ethical considerations? What kind of ethical considerations did you make while you were handling people's data, or you were like designing a solution thinking that, this is has to be HIPAA compliant or what have you, like we are actually dealing with human data at the end. So what are the kinds of considerations that were taught to you in the program for ethics?
Yeah, so you had to make sure for me, a lot of it was privacy, because in mine, you can actually take a photo and like upload it. So a lot of it was just a lot of personal data being stored, which my mentor did teach me a lot about that actually. I wasn't going into this, didn't think I know, but they teach you about where a lot of components in your product is stored and how to make sure it's all legal. So nothing like, illegal is happening. It's all very put together and structured like that.
I think at this point, the audience is curious to know more about your app. So, for everyone, just explain what is your app about, what is it called, and what does it do, Rena?
Yeah. So my app is SkinSense AI, and it's almost like your own personalized dermatologist at home. So what you can do is you can have these little checkups with it, which beforehand you answer this whole questionnaire about your skin, and then you're go into a chat conversation with the dermatologist chatbot. So you go back and forth like a conversation as if it's like a normal dermatologist. And then at the end of your conversation, it gives you this whole summary of different like recommended actions, why you may be having these like certain issues. So it's like almost like a filler dermatologist in between your appointments like that. That's like really what I want to solve. And then after you get your summary and your whole checkup analysis, you can actually store that, and the dermatologist compares all the data between every single checkup to overall see if your skin is progressing or degressing.
Yeah, awesome. So, this is excellent. And so, what did your first version actually look like?
Yeah, so my first version was a very simple version on Langflow. I did that before I expanded on to make it an app, and we just use like very like almost no code, just a lot of prompting and like rag prompting with with the dermatologist AI. So it was a very like simple, almost base of what it would soon come to be.
So I think you are oversimplifying it, but yeah, basically it was Lang. See, you did a lot of good work, and basically you use Langflow as it's a visual design coding tool, but you still have to understand what connectors to use, what APIs to use, what LLM models to choose, what model version to choose, and the tokens and the APIs, and then build the whole flow. Like here's the input, this is what the user will be doing, here's it is stored, then what happens, then the flow happens, then the user is prompted to answer a particular question, and all of that is stored somewhere else, and then the logic flows back and forth, and so it's a whole Very elaborate flow chart. I wish we could show the audience here what you built as a first minimal viable product at the end of the 12 weeks of your summer intensive. So that was really impressive. Even though it was a no-code tool, it was not just prompting. It was not just, okay, I want to build this, let's build this. There was a lot of design thought that went into the background, design decisions, as well as architecturing the whole thing as to what do we actually want it to do? How does the flow, how should the flow look like? And so very impressive work there with you and your mentor. I was also one of the design thinking mentors for the cohort. So yeah, I know how great you did in that. Um, and so using Langflow, do you think that was a good fit for you? Especially you may be like you're still only a freshman and you're still figuring out what your college and career path may look like, whether it is pre-med or you actually want to go into data science. What exactly is your, if for now, if this is a snapshot in time, what do you want to do in college, Rena?
I think I want to do pre-med and become a doctor eventually.
Okay, awesome. So doctors in the house, right?
Yeah.
As parents are doctors, sister is already on that path, and then yes, so why would you be behind? So what you built as the MVP, do you think that's a good fit for you to showcase your story to college applications and differentiate yourself from other pre-med students applying?
Yeah, I feel like this would definitely differentiate me because a lot of this is something that not a lot of people do, making their own product. You have to actually put a lot of initiative and leadership components into this, which I feel like a lot of colleges do acknowledge, and especially if you're going to like a pre-med track, which is what I was doing, like since mine's is specifically about dermatology, it's a medical field. It really does stick out because it also, goes along with what I want to be. But even if you're going into any other fields, you can, prompt your chatbot and design it so it fits whatever field you're going into. And it's also something that you can carry out for how many years, and that really shows commitment and is something that you can constantly be improving on and working on over the course of years, which I know like colleges do like to see that.
Yes, they like to see longevity of an activity and they like to see demonstrated interest. So definitely this project fits and puts you apart on the pre-med track, but you could very well easily, or any other student doing this could apply for either business or even data science or AI CS fields, because the project, if it's an social impact project that you are passionate about and you took action to do something about that, that's the story admission officers care about. So let's talk about your mentor. You had the mentor from NVIDIA. What did that look like week after week? How did he help you?
Yeah. So in the start, he taught me like very simple components, how to use them because I had no knowledge before. So he showed me a bunch of different tools I've been using to make my project, like, and he taught me a bunch of different terminology which I didn't know before, like API keys and LLM models, like you mentioned before. So I feel like in the first initial sessions, he just taught me that, and then we really started getting into the process of designing and building it. And he was kind of like I was more like the driver, while he was more of just like teaching me how to do it. Which is like a big thing with them. They really just teach you it, and then they make you apply it, so you really know what you're doing. And with that new knowledge, you can actually use it to make more different products you want. It's the options are honestly infinite with how many you can make.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear this. So, yeah, what I'm hearing is that STEAM in AI doesn't just teach you, like, do it for you or teaches you exactly step by step, but they actually teach you how to fish, which means that once you have learned how to think, how to design, and how to problem solve, how to build an architecture, then you can use the tools. Today it's Langflow, and then we'll talk about some of the other tools that you've used. And you could use any tool, but then the design thinking, the architecture process stays with you. And like you're saying, then you're able to not just build this one product or tool, but you could use it to develop many, many more and further. So awesome. That's amazing to hear that, Stimina really helped you, and the mentor was so useful. So, what's one piece of advice or feedback that he might have given you that really changed the direction of your project?
I mean, there's a lot, but a really big one that seems simple is don't be afraid to like try new things with it because I feel like initially I was so stuck on doing one like pathway almost of how I wanted to do this and not adding new designs, new components, new features into it. And I feel like he made me more aware of the possibilities and different things I could solve if I decided to add different features, different like cool little devices into it. So I feel like that was a big piece of advice because it made me more open to different ideas and possibilities.
And so, yeah, don't be afraid to break things because you can only fix if it's not broken, you can't fix it. So, try new things. If it breaks, that's okay. We are here to help you fix them, and that's the best way to learn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's this graduation ceremony at the end of the summer where all of you are presenting. Each one of you in the cohort has their own unique product or research, AI product or AI research that they are showcasing to friends and family at your graduation day. And remember this distinctly, but I want to hear your story from your perspective. When you presented your MVP, what was the reaction of the audience according to you? And your mom and dad were also in the audience. So, what do you think everyone's reaction was?
Oh, everyone loved it. I wasn't expecting that much, support, but everyone was super impressed to see how it all came together, especially my parents. They weren't so sure I was capable of making something so big and, a lot of thinking went into it and I feel like it really paid off and showed and everyone was super impressed by that.
Yeah, and you actually did not just show a presentation. All the kids actually showed live demos, which are very hard. Live demos have a habit tendency to break when you're really showing it to the audience. So yeah, it was a live demo and it worked and it was flawless. Awesome job on that. Yes, I can attest to everything that you said. People were amazed at. They did not even, I don't think all the entire audience knew that you're only a freshman, but the level of your project completion and the quality of the product was so good and was so well thought of that there was a story behind why this was a passion project that you picked, how you started with no coding experience to where you came, how much thought you put into it, how much work you put into it. Mentors are there to guide, but it's you who put in all the work. So kudos to that. Kudos to you for that really good hard work. So now let's moving on. After this, you decided not to stop. Now here's where your journey becomes different than other students. A lot of our students do decide to continue, but you are one such student who did not stop after the summer program. Why?
I really saw more. I saw the potential in, that original MVP I made, and I really wanted to pursue that, especially in the real world, like put it on the App Store. That was always like been a big thing of what I really wanted to do coming into STEAM and AI. And I really just didn't want to see all that, potential go to waste, especially with all like the new skills that my mentor had taught me. So like I really wanted to apply that and put something I really loved and put my heart onto into the App Store to help others.
Awesome. And so then from MVP to App Store, that's an entirely whole journey. Like, this it's not a student project is not an App Store project typically. So, um, Steam and AI found you another mentor who works at Roblox. How did that happen, and what was that journey like?
So none of this would not have happened without Steam and AI. I would not have gotten into contact with anyone like this high of a level. I mean, working at Roblox, like that's an insanely prestigious role to have. So I was really grateful to be paired with such like a a great mentor, and this mentor, he was just as great as the other one. He guided me throughout the whole thing, and this part of my project was even more complex since I was making a web app version and a mobile app version, and I had zero experience besides, but I had a little more experience since Steam and AI with the summer project did help a lot. But there was still so much to learn, and he guided me through everything. He taught me different things I didn't know before, and most importantly, he taught me how to apply it all. So if I wanted to, I feel like I could do this all again without much help, really.
Yeah, and that's the goal. We want you to feel confident that you have the skills now and you could apply it on your own. And so, what did this Roblox mentor push you to think about product, users, real world use case?
So he pushed me to think about all of that. A big thing that he pushed me to talk about or like really amplify my app was like how are we gonna specifically target like certain users in my app. So we wanted to target a wide range of people. So and like different skin conditions. So that's why we added this whole questionnaire, like I mentioned before like the actual conversation with the chatbot itself, because it can fit so many different people with different problems, different needs, which is a big thing that I really wanted to fix with my app out there. So he
Yeah.
really did like push me to think about not just like one type of person, but like a branch of different people that could be using my app.
Yeah, it's like going to the doctor, right? The skin doctor doesn't see patients only for one particular thing. There are just so many things and so many age groups of people that go to see a dermatologist. So, yeah, I agree that you wanted to build something. You started with this pain point for teens as a personal pain point, but then you thought that, oh, what if I could make this available to other age groups and people who don't have access to dermatologists or are waiting like you in between. So what's something you improved because of that mentorship?
A big thing was I feel like my like logical thinking almost, because before going into it, I was very like in this whole like world of creating apps, like it's like this would lead to this, but when you actually in a way think of it, it's a lot more simple than you think, which I didn't really know going into. I thought everything was super complex, like only these certain types of people can actually make an app, and knowing
Yeah.
that like I could do that by myself using like my just like my like really it was like a lot of logical thinking. It really did improve it, my logical thinking doing it.
Yeah, so most of the times we are told, or at least before, conversational AI became accessible, these kind of coding was only limited to people who knew how to code. And also we were taught to believe that it's only people who have very high math skills and who learn and know how to code, only those are good for coding or to go into CS careers. Has that thought process changed for you now?
Oh, definitely. It's a whole different like component in my brain. I mean, he made me very more aware of like a lot of different components that go into all this like technology stuff and AI too.
Yeah. And so were there parts of your product now? So from MVP now you're building a web version so that anybody can go to the web app and actually use your product and basically start with questions. So it will give you step-by-step guidance. It will ask you the right questions, and then tell you what to do, how to record, upload stuff, and then save the session by session that you can come back to as historical evidence or show it, download it, show it to your dermatologist upon your next visit. So now you're building all of this as your next iteration of your product. So what wasn't working? There must be times where sometimes things didn't work. It must be frustrated, or you felt that there needs to be an improvement, feature prioritization. Walk us through some of those challenges that you faced and what you did to overcome them.
Yeah, so when we were making our web version initially, we tried, since it's a little more complex, since it's going on the web, we tried Langflow again for it. This time it didn't work so well, so, no project is perfect just in the start. There's always going to be bugs going into it. I mean, that's why the mentor's there. They really help you get through it.
Yeah.
But Langflow completely didn't work, and we had spent a lot of time on that. But instead of trying to like keep fixes, salvage like what we can, we had to restart. But we restarted on a different platform, and it was actually more beneficial towards us because then we went exponentially faster. So I guess it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. Even though it didn't seem so good in the moment, it all really just worked out in the end.
Okay, okay. Awesome. So now you get to learn one more tool. You learn to how to think logically, feature prioritize, and then change from MVP to the app store to the web app. And so at what point did you think that this shouldn't just be a web app anymore? This needs to be more than that.
I mean, a web app is great to have, but I was thinking like a lot of the times when I use apps, they're on my phone, so I was really just applying it to like comparing to what I use versus my friends versus my parents, and all of us like collectively we all really use just apps on our phone. So I feel like a big thing, especially with accessibility, not many people have
Yeah.
computers more, and more of them have phones, so it just makes more sense to really just put it on the app store and have it on people's phones. It'll be a lot more convenient.
Yeah, and so how different was that experience compared going from web app to mobile app
It was definitely different, but I wouldn't say it was totally different. We did have to switch to
to
a
another
different
platform?
platform. Yeah. But the process was relatively the same, and honestly, with the prior knowledge from making the web app, it was really easy for me to actually make the mobile app, even though that seems a bit harder because it's actually like going on the app store and not just like web, because web apps are a little easier to make, I'd say. But for me, I feel like it actually wasn't easier because I had so much knowledge from before. I actually knew what to do going into it, then making the mobile app.
Yeah. And so where are you now? Is it available on the App Store? Can I download it today? Where are we?
So right now I'm actually done creating the whole mobile app and web app. So the web app you can find as a browser. I have that as a published website. And then my mobile app, since we're done all the designing, I'm just have to work on getting that published in the App Store, and that's it.
Yeah. And then what are you thinking next? Once it's on the App Store, what do you want to do? What's your vision? Big vision.
Really get it known out there. And also, we were gonna go. Me and my parents were gonna try to see if we like different dermatologists wanna pair with it and also help expand on it to see if there's any improvements made. And then we were thinking of adding maybe like updating some features to see like if we could add different things that the dermatologist would recommend. So big thing would be partnering with dermatologists around me.
Yeah, and also making it accessible through marketing or word of mouth to people in economically disadvantaged countries, um, where dermatologists or villages where they are not easily accessible. What if those people could have access to your app, and at least it could give them some basic information on, tracking or what they can do, or at least know what are their options, whether this is like urgent to be seen by a doctor, or here are some things like hydration, um, cleansing, things like that that they could do on their own. Is that also an idea, right?
Yeah, like definitely helping people who don't have early access to a dermatologist because they live in like such rural areas. That's another big thing that I did want my app to help with.
Yeah, so that's next, and we are going to help you get there. So we'll probably help you with getting it ready for the App Store, and then we'll look into marketing, and that way you can not only show demonstrated interest in building something, but you can also show in terms of numbers how it has helped create impact and help so many other people. So, how do you think about responsibility when you're building something like this? Do you feel the weight on your shoulders, like, you're literally helping people, but changing their lives and impacting their lives in some way? And if this was built the wrong way, then it could impact them negatively, but positives are a lot. So, how do you feel the burden of this responsibility?
Yeah, so I feel like it's kind of like a privilege to have such a responsibility because in the end you're well, at least for mine, I'm trying to really help people out there who like, also can't have who don't have access to dermatologists and also just like have and you're almost like an at-home dermatologist in between sessions. So I feel like I do have a little burden of responsibility on me, but I don't think it's a bad burden because in the end, I feel like I really want to help people with that, and that responsibility is good for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely is it definitely they say, right, heavy is the head, but no, it's a good thing. It's a blessing and a curse, but mostly it's a blessing to have the opportunity to help so many people is definitely a blessing. And so looking back again, what parts of STEAM in AI helped you the most?
I'd say definitely the mentors. None of this would have been possible without the mentors, especially since both the mentors I had came from like such great companies beforehand. I felt like it was really a privilege to be able to even work with them. One from NVIDIA and the other from Roblox, like two really big companies. And I really would not have gotten that connection without Steven AI, so I really got to thank them for that.
Of course, of course. And what would have been the hardest to figure out on your own?
I'd say definitely the bugs. Since the bugs are super, nitpicky, it's really hard. You have to go back into like logs and databases to find them. So the mentors definitely helped a lot with that.
Yeah, and what would your advice be for a student who is watching listening to you and feeling, oh, AI is too hard? What would you say to them?
I would say it's definitely not too hard, I almost had that mentality going into it, but the second I went into it, I was like, it's really this simple. Someone like me could do it. I bet anyone can really do it. So no, don't think it's too hard. It's definitely not.
Awesome. And if someone has an idea but doesn't know where to start, what should they do? What's step one?
Um, don't just trash that idea. Definitely, get it down on a paper, get it down somewhere, start designing, start thinking about it. I feel like that's a big first step that, some people miss, but it's a very key factor into, getting your idea to become something really big.
So no matter how trivial your idea or how crazy your idea may seem to you or others, you're saying definitely write it down because all great ideas look crazy to other people, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, honestly,
Yes.
do what your heart tells you to. If you really want to go with that idea, then do it.
Wow. Rena, you are wise way beyond your years. Yeah, that is the one most awesome advice you've given. Like you've been giving lots of great advice, and this is by far the best advice. Like follow your heart, take chances on yourself, try to learn and build something. Don't just give up on your idea. Even when others don't believe in it, you believe in it and make it happen. So awesome. And so what everyone just saw is what happens when a student takes an idea and has the right system and support and mentorship and is able to turn it into something real. So if your student is looking to get started this summer, our STEAM and AI round of applications for summer first round closes April 30th. So book in a consult now. There's a free 45-minute strategy consultation with me. And our AI projects are personalized for each student and they're aligned to your interests, your activities, and your career majors. We meet the students where they are. Like you heard Rena's story, no coding, no tests. It's for all students, all tests scores, and all GPAs, all majors combined. So no matter where you are and what is your story, we can help you. So, all right, Rena, closing thoughts. Do you have any questions for me? You did great, by the way. Awesome job. So confident and such a good job you did explaining your story. And I can't wait to see that in the App Store as well as, see how many people it impacts. But before we part, do you have any questions for me?
No, I think you've covered everything.
I covered everything. Okay. Awesome. So, all the very best and keep the great work going. Take care. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope Rena's story has inspired you enough. Whether your kid is in middle school or high school, a freshman or a senior, um, colleges value demonstrated interest, and AI literacy is here now. It's important. There's no way around it. And just taking a course isn't enough. Building something really helps the students learn. So, all right, with that, thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye. Bye, Rena. Good
Bye,
job.
thank you.
Bye. Good job.